Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever live audience production of the AWAKEN Catholic show. You do have a job to do tonight, and that is to overreact to anything that goes on. Thank you. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Super ecstatic today to have the guest that we do. Mike Mangione is a guy that I met years ago. He was coming through the area with Christopher West for an event, and he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, you know anyone that would want to do a house concert?" And thus began the saga of the Casa DLT house concerts, which this is now the fifth of. But Mike was also the first of. So super, super cool thing. We love doing this. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about who Mike is in case you don't know. Mike is a professional. It means he makes money from it. Americana musician who has toured the world both as a solo artist and with his bands Mike Mangione and The Union and Mike Mangione and The Kin. His music has been described as soulful Americana and as orchestral folk. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Mangione.
Sons and brothers, sisters and mothers, the time has come to lay your body down. You've been fooled to feel you're empty. Your inheritance is plenty. I can hear the siren weep as they hang the wedding gown. Was a time that I remember, innocence and splendor. Your love, hold me with the will. Now we must stay in this discussion to bleed through their oppression. We must run with our hearts against the grain. And there's a breath from the beginning, from where everything came spinning. Do not fear if you do not understand. I did not come to take you, defile or break you. I came to help you feel that breath against your hand. Yeah. But this will not come with ease, so listen to me please. You must be open to the glory and the pain. When they pierce that sinful mistress, catch her blood and hold witness. She'll come running to your heart against the grain. Yeah. This will not come with ease. Listen to me, please. You must be open to the glory and its pain. When they pierce that sinful mistress, you catch her blood and you hold witness. She'll come running to your heart against the grain. Yeah. This is a lover's song, blowing in the field where we belong. Take my hand, child, and leave behind your shame. I promise you, and if you dare to promise too, then we'll go running with our heart against the grain. Yeah. Oh.
Mike, that was gorgeous. That was really beautiful.
That was for you. Can I move this?
Please do. Mike, what was that song about exactly?
Parties.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Because I kept hearing the word mistress in there, and I was like, huh.
Yeah. College. No. So that was that was a song I called "Against the Grain," and it really, to put it short, it's really just that if we're gonna live a life of purpose, then we're gonna be countercultural. And so it's almost like my battle cry song. I wrote it. It's on a record that hasn't released yet. And I remember, remember where I was. I was traveling. I'm winded for some reason.
It's okay.
I'm like, okay.
Do you need a second?
Maybe.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
No, I remember when I was writing. Writing is a long process for me, much like speaking, apparently. And I remember I was traveling, and I always keep songs that I'm working on like in my back pocket, and I just come back to it. I never sit down and try to like tackle it all in one sitting, because then it's choked and you can hear it, So I just kind of let it happen naturally. And I remember I was in some place, I can't remember where it was, and the words "against the grain" came up, and I was like, that could be the chorus, but I wasn't quite sure what "against the grain" means. I mean, I know what it means in vernacular, just like every day, but like literally, like, does it apply to the point of the song? And so I remember I texted a friend of mine and I said, hey, does this make sense if I say "against the grain" as like living life radically against, the social norms? And he's like, no, that actually doesn't work. And I didn't listen to him, and I did it anyway. So I think it works. Right? Does that make sense? "Against the grain"? Because it hasn't released yet. I'll take it off the record.
No, I think it's beautiful. I think it's great.
Thank you.
I love the depth with which you're approaching your songwriting, and all of your music really carries that depth. Yeah. So I'm super excited about what we're doing tonight, the conversation that we're about to have. And ladies and gentlemen, this guest, Mike Mangione. Am I saying that right?
Mangione. Yeah, Mangione.
Mangione.
Yeah. I always say it's like Joni Mitchell. Mangione Mitchell.
So you don't want the Gioni, you just want Joni.
If you want to say it and sound like you're saying it right. Mangione. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our guest today, Mike Mangione, is going to be performing music for us. He's going to be talking about his life, his art, and all of that is coming up right after this. It's the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Awaken Catholic Show, not your grandmother's Catholic talk show. And today I am joined by guest Mike Mangione. He is an artist in the truest sense. Basically, he makes art. And so...
and I'm poor.
And he's poor.
I'm really thorough with the whole artist thing.
Yeah, you want to live it authentically.
Yeah.
So, Mike, how did you start? What was the first moment where the universe was like, Mike...
My mom and my dad.
Mm-hmm. One of them was looking really good that night.
One of them. I think I know who it was, too.
Have you seen photos from that night?
Let's just, we're moving.
Like I said, it's not your grandmother's Catholic talk show.
This is not. My grandmother would never say that. She didn't have photos back then. So I'm the youngest of three dudes, and we would fight constantly. And I have an issue where I can be pretty aggressive and a little punchy, Yeah, I'm kind of fiery if backed into a corner. So I was constantly hitting my brothers, constantly fighting. And so my mom thought I should take drum lessons to hit something else. And so she put drumsticks in my hands, gave me lessons, and that was the beginning. And then I remember being so moved by music. Like music, I typically, when I talk, I always start and then I go backwards and backwards and backwards. So you're going to notice that. I'll try to stay linear and chronological.
He's approaching it artistically.
Yeah. Let me talk about the Big Bang. Okay. But I don't even know what else. Oh, no. So music has always been beyond ear candy for me. And it was a way to tap into a bigger mystery that words could not capture, even at a young age. And that's the power of art, really, is it puts sight and sound. It has a conversation with sights and sounds that words fall short. And so we can oftentimes find ourselves just pierced by beauty and held in just in awe of it, because it is awe-inspiring. And so as a kid, I had my ear candy bands. I remember I had Snow's Informer. Do you guys read that before your time? Don't worry about it. Don't look it up. On tape, I had a lot of Guns N' Roses.
Heard of them.
Yeah, Gina, Run DMC. But I was also really into music that went beyond its parts. So artists that really were participating in the cosmic conversation of what does it mean to be human? Who am I? What am I? Where am I going? So Van Morrison, Bob Dylan, Tom Waits, these were the artists that would speak to me even at a young age. Bob Marley. I was a huge Marley fan. And I would oftentimes lay in my bed and I had like Christmas lights up. I would light incense. I would make like mint tea and have a black light and posters. That's it. I wasn't doing anything else.
I was going to ask.
No, not in high school. But yeah, and I would just enter into the music, or the music would enter into me, I should say, and I would just float. And it helped. It made me feel like I was watching the greats participate in the conversation that everybody's had since cave paintings. I mean, like everybody's looking up at the stars saying, what is this? Here's my take on it. Boom, here's a song, So that's the beginning for me.
Dang.
Yeah, and eventually I wanted to sing, so I would steal my brother's guitar, and which is why I play upside down, because I never took lessons. So I just picked up his righty guitar and I played it lefty, and that was the beginning.
Are you left-handed?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice you were doing that.
Yeah.
I know one other person that plays guitar backwards.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Who?
for the same reason. No one you know.
Yeah. No, maybe try me. Jesus. I know him. Fantastic guitar player.
He just comes down, let me show you.
Yes. He's not even touching the strings.
Yeah.
Just the power is moving.
Oh my gosh.
His ruah.
So it all started with your mom giving you drums as a way to kind of adapt to the challenge that you were facing as a kid.
Many challenges. Yes.
Okay, the challenges that you were facing as a kid. But I just think it's so beautiful how that one move on her part kind of became this career that, your life, where you've created so much art, and it comes down to this moment where your mom's like, I don't know what else to do with him.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him some drums.
Absolutely. Yeah. And she was always, she is just always aware of art and its importance. I remember as a kid, she would always take me I grew up in Chicago. And so the Art Institute of Chicago, Steppenwolf Theater, taking like art lessons, like pottery lessons, and like a lot of lessons, whatever, classes as a kid. And it's all like I used to fake sick from school a lot.
I've never done that.
You should try it. It's really cool because you're supposed to be in school.
Interesting.
But you're not.
That would have been such a great solution. My mom's in the background now laughing because I definitely did do that.
Oh, yeah. And so when I did that, she would play along, but she'd say, all right, well, if you're staying home, we have to watch one of the classic movies. And then we would watch like The King and I and
wow,
West Side. I mean, her classic movies, not like West Side Story, but like musicals. She always wanted me to be feeding me with something that would be useful.
That's amazing.
And there's nothing more useful than memorizing lyrics and dance moves to West Side Story.
Could you please demonstrate?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to start like this.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, we talked about Jesus' left-hand guitaring. And speaking of Jesus, I think that is a perfect segue into the Kerygma Speed Round. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I don't have a jingle yet. It's coming, though.
I heard it.
You heard it in your head? Okay. If you could write that and record it so I could start using that, that'd be super
very
helpful.
Atmospheric. Yeah.
First question of the Kerygma Speed Round. Who is Jesus to you?
He is he is the one challenging me to let go of everything.
Wow.
That's it. And I don't know if we'll get into it later. I had an amazing experience. Actually,
The desert story.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was so. I was
going to talk about that in a little bit, but
oh well, we can talk about it later. Okay, but that realigned my whole understanding of Jesus.
Wow.
Was that experience?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and we'll get it's cliffhanger.
All right, question number 2 of the Kerygma speed round. My kids keep running back and forth.
I feel like I'm at my house. It's great. My kids.
Question number 2 is, what's your elevator pitch for a life with Jesus?
Hey, man, you like to feel good?
Oh, man, that might be the best answer I've ever gotten. So,
can I tell you?
And I've had bishops on the show, so I mean, that was a good one.
Hey, yeah, you can learn from me. I know we're doing a speed round.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay, the CFRs in New York, I love them.
Franciscan Friars of the Renewal.
That's exactly right. And I often do events with them, and what the best part about doing an event with a CFR in New York is the event is great, but afterwards you just hang out with them and you just stay up late. And they're hilarious. And there's one guy, he's from Kentucky. I think his name is, well, I won't say his name. I don't know if it's whatever.
Father Emmanuel?
No.
That's New York. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, but he's in New York, but he's from Kentucky. And he's like, I went home. And CFRs have gray outfits, long, huge beards, usually, and shaved heads. So they look pretty like awesome. And he's like, I went home recently and I look like this. And I was at a gas station and one guy came up to me. He's like, hey, man. Because he looks like a CFR, right? Totally decked out. Hey, man, were you at Judy's last night? He's like, no. He's like, yeah, you were. I saw you. You were at Judy's last night. He's like, no, I wasn't. He's like, man, you were at Judy's last night. He's like, I wasn't. He's like, okay, you smoke weed? And that was the end of the conversation. He's like, I gotta get chips
to pray. That is an amazing. My favorite story with the CFRs is I was living with 2 of them for a week. We were serving at one of the Life Teen camps, and I got sick. I got real sick on the last day there. That was supposed to be the travel day. And so we were, the 3 of us, it was me and these 2 monks living in this cabin for a week. Incredible experience. Some of the funniest guys, the holiest guys I've ever met. And it's one thing to pray with them nightly, every morning. It's another thing to have one of them running across the house to grab a bucket for you and holding it for you while you're throwing up.
It's beautiful.
And like these guys, they're just Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. It really is.
All of them just have these stories that you hear it and you're like, I'm renewed from that one story. Yeah.
Amen. All right. Question number 3. What's your elevator pitch specifically for life as a Catholic with Jesus?
My elevator pitch, this is how you stall. You repeat the question. My elevator pitch for life specifically as a Catholic.
Yeah.
Hey, man, like rock and roll is cool, right?
Were you at Judy's?
Were you at Judy's last night? Come on, man. Well, the Catholic Church is like the epitome. It's like this. It's like the form of rock and roll. It's like the original incense, smells, bells, lights, all of it, tangible. And then they'll be like, oh, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "That's now I'm at 1 minute." So I went from 30-second elevator pitch to 1 minute.
It's a tall building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not doing good at this.
No, you're killing it. Okay. You're killing it. Again, I've had bishops on the show, so they were not brief.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Okay. That's it.
I love it. I think that's super, super real. Beautiful. Great job, Mike. Let's give Mike a round of applause. That was a great Kerygma speed round. Yes. All right, Mike. Could you please bless our ear holes with another song?
Sure. Do you have Spotify? I'm just kidding. So I was preparing for a new record, and like I said, I always hold on to songs for a while. I just kind of keep them, and then just slowly unpack them and work on them. And this is one that I was driving to. I have an office. I had an office, and I was driving to it. And it was the changing of the season. It was fall becoming winter, and I went over a bridge. And the river was frozen. And for some, which I see that a lot where I live, but for some reason, like, it just hit me differently that moving water where I live freezes. I've even seen, like, the waves frozen, like arcing waves frozen, which is crazy. And I said to myself, I come from this land where the rivers freeze. And I was like, that's a great first line for a song. So this is called The Turnabout. I come from the land where the rivers freeze, where time is a season counted by the leaves, where the frozen bone holds pure every tempo, every tone. For every bleeding heart, cracked seed can cry where it is sown. But I don't have a home without you. No, I don't have a home without you. Time is a runner who can change his stride. I hold memory because the feeling has died. But there was once a dream, and it burned off like steam. And every noise that plays in this empty church echoes places I have been. Because I don't have a home without you. No, I don't have a home without you. I get it when they say, boy, you're gonna reap what you sow. But I've been hanging on to mercy since that day I bared my soul. And I'm punching through the dirt because it keeps filling that same hole to you. I wanted to love you, but I couldn't see. Only love becomes itself sacrificially. So I will bleed it out. You hold suspicion, you hold doubt. But I will sing this song until these words can thaw that turnabout. Because I don't have a home without you. No, I don't have a home without you.
Mike, that was really freaking beautiful.
I just Googled song and that came up. All it takes.
That was so nice.
Thanks.
Yeah. So your mom hands you some drums. You become
I mean, the drums are big, so she handed me sticks. And she's a very small Irish woman. So.
Got it. Okay, so she hands you sticks.
Yes, drumsticks. Besides B.
You
Sorry.
acquire drums, the mode by which they are conveyed to your possession.
You got it.
I wasn't there. I don't know.
You're doing great.
But fast forward, you become what we just heard. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not implying.
No.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I feel it, though. I feel it. I have.
No, I remember. Yes.
Funny story. Wait, I just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That song, I recorded on my new record. Haven't released it yet, and I showed it to a couple people. And somebody I'm really close with is an author and speaker, Christopher West, who you mentioned. And he's just been like, he's my bro for a long time. And so I always show him stuff early. And I he's a brilliant dude.
Yes.
Like, just he's just on a different level.
Yes.
But sometimes with that comes certain things that might be a faux pas or maybe a little from left field.
Okay.
So I showed him the record, and he went song by song and wrote, like, it gave me his comments, and it was beautiful. And then he said, that song Turnabout, when you said every noise that rings in this empty church echoes places I've never been, are you talking about your career and how it hasn't panned out the way you really wanted it to? And I'm like, no. But now
that's a nasty burn there.
that hurts. It still hurts. Maybe.
Oh man, Christopher was actually at that original house concert that we had with you, and he actually, to have him in my house, he is a hero of mine. I mean, he literally is how I became Catholic. Like, I was in a geology class at Bowling Green State University, and we got partnered up for some project. And this kid that I'm working with, I noticed the pen that he's using says Creed on campus. And I was like, what's that pen about? And he's like, oh, it's the Catholic group on campus. You should totally come. And I'm like, no, bro, I'm good. I've been down that road. And he's like, no, really, you should come. We're going to be talking about sex. And I was like, oh, what time does it start?
That's his elevator pitch.
Yeah, that was his elevator pitch.
That's a good elevator pitch.
Yeah. Well, lo and behold, literally the very next day, Christopher West was presenting there in the ballroom at Bowling Green State University and completely changed the course of my life that night.
Wow.
All because I asked about a stupid pen. So if anyone's ever fundraising and trying to, buy pens for their organization, buy the friggin' pen. Yeah.
That'd be great if the pen, never mind.
I should get a sponsorship from pens to, yeah.
I was baptized Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to say. No, wow, the stories really didn't go anywhere. I just like sharing information. I have tiny feet. But I went to Marquette University, which is a Jesuit university, and I met a girl my junior year. I had a long relationship. I'm going backwards. I had a long relationship with a girl from high school. We started dating in junior high. Going backwards still. Junior high, high school, and then she broke up with me, August 26, 2000. Not that the date means anything. No, but she broke up with me, and I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
It was like 7 years or something we dated. It was a long time.
Oh, wow.
And I was heartbroken. And I was at junior year, it started, and I was in a class, drama class, and then one night at the bars, there's this girl who I was standing in line next to at Marquette Euros. So it was like 2 a.m. So you can imagine what's happening. We're all a little glassy-eyed. And we became friends. We're like, you're from my drama class, yeah. So then we started like hanging out. Just totally like friends. And she's like, you seem like you're really sad. I'm like, thank you. But I said, yeah, I explained to her. She's like, there's this retreat that's I'm part of as a leader. You should come. It's based off of the Kairos retreat. I'm like, I love Kairos. And anyway, so I went and I met this girl, 6 foot, beautiful, just like strong, like just beautiful woman. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I like her. But I didn't know if like it was even possible for a 5'5" guy to like a 6 foot girl and have it go anywhere. And so I just like stood next to her a lot. And eventually she's like, oh, hey,
Did she point down like that?
No.
Pat you on the head?
Yeah. Tommy shoes. But so we started hanging out. And one of the first things after the retreat, she did, she's like, do you want to come to mass with me? I'm like, they have those? And apparently at Marquette, there's a lot of masses. And so I went. It was a Wednesday, and this kind of goes back to something we touched on, which was my elevator pitch for being Catholic. We went to the Joan of Arc Chapel, which was brought over brick by brick from England or from France via England. And there's a stone it's a tiny little chapel, and there's a stone in the chapel that's back left that is said to be the stone that Joan of Arc prayed on, rested her head on and prayed on before she went into battle. And then, of course, as Catholics, they always do and if you touch it, it's always 5 degrees colder. And it's like, no, probably not, but maybe.
Those are the same old ladies whose rosaries turn gold if they pray them 100 times.
Yeah, they rub the gold into, yeah. So I went, and it was a 10 o'clock mass with a priest named Father Will Prospero. And I remember walking in, and tiny, and all of the stones were worn from centuries of feet and kneeling. Wow. And it was packed with students all kneeling, and it was lit by candlelight. And the music, it was all chant. It was beautiful. And there's incense that had that haze, and the candlelight and all the smoke was refracting the light. And light is meant to, like candlelight is meant to work with icons and with the art in a church. It all sparkles, and it's intentional. And I saw it. The sacramentality was so potent. And I remember walking in, and it was like that, to me, is what every concert, like rock and roll, like concert, the production is all going after that. Wow. And I remember walking in just being blown away, and Father Will Prospero had an amazing homily. And to me, the priest had always been like celebrities that you don't talk to. They're over there, I'm here, and we don't mix, right? And they're scary. And he was like so comfortable and warm, and he was this girl that I liked. He was spiritual director, which is like, what? Like you talk to him on a regular basis? He likes you and stuff? You're not in trouble when you talk to him? And so that began my, okay, this isn't my home church. This is the same faith, like this, because this seems more tangible, and it has meat, Wow. And one of the first things he did, so I eventually started dating this girl. She's now my wife, and yeah, and one of the first things he did was he said he invited her to a speaker who was coming through. And he was so excited. He's like, this guy's amazing. He talks about identity and sexuality, and it's just wait. And I remember he got so giddy. He's like, wait till you hear when he talks about priests and celibacy. It's amazing. And I'm like, well, all right. And I went, and it was Christopher, and I absolutely hated it.
Yeah, that was like Alina when we went to that event that day,
right? Because it meant everything needed to change, because it was the truth, and it was completely against where I was. And where I was very much in the culture, not for any bad reasons, because I wanted the best for everybody. I wanted the best for people's feelings and for people's backgrounds and histories and likes and dislikes. I wanted the best for people because I loved people. And therefore it meant whatever you need to do, please do it and let me know how I can help you. And here was somebody saying, the love is the source, but the truth is the truth. And you have two options. You either turn away or you follow it. And I turned away. No, I followed it. And so that was the beginning. And then so when the event was done, Christopher did something that he's never done. He played a song on guitar. And so afterwards, there was this long line of
Was it a U2 song?
It wasn't, but that
Okay.
plays into it.
Yeah.
There was this long line of people asking him like theological questions, and I had no question to ask him. I just wanted to talk, say, hey, I like the song. He's like, oh, yeah, thanks, man. He's like, do you play music? I'm like, yeah. He's like, who are your artists? I said, well, my top artist is U2 and Bob Dylan. He's like, you like U2? I'm like, yeah. He's like, can you stick around afterwards? I'm like, sure. So we stayed up until like 3 a.m. playing songs and harmonizing. And he had an extensive touring history. He was in a band as a drummer and toured a lot. I mean, he's done the road thing. And so we connected, and God knew that I needed, in order for me to cross the bridge, I needed somebody to walk to me and lead me to the other side. Otherwise, I just felt like people were yelling at me like, you got to get over here and figure it out. You know, like that's what religion was. But here was somebody that Christopher, my girlfriend, and Father Will Prospero were like, we'll talk through everything. We're not going to back down. We're going to be honest, but let's go. And that was my community. That was my kindling.
That's incredible.
The flame, yeah.
That's amazing how the chess pieces were moved by God to bring that moment together. Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look hindsight, when you're in it, you're like, this is not going as planned.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you reflect, you're like, oh my gosh, not my will. You know, it's his will and it's perfect. You know, everything has worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a CFR. No, he's a Benedictine. He was teaching a class. I hope I don't mess this up. Okay. And a student raised his hand. He said, why did Jesus have to come 2,000 years ago? And well, historically, what was happening at the time was, you had Abraham. I mean, he kind of laid it out in the Bible, biblically and chronologically, and said so. It made sense that he came at that time, the best that he could. And the student goes, "I don't think so." All right, and walks away. Sounds like a fake story, but it's true. Later, he goes, "Why did it have to be in the Middle East? Like, why is that a spot?" He said, "Well, there's many reasons, but blah blah. The Dead Sea is the deepest point, and that's where he was baptized. The Jordan leads to the Dead Sea. Therefore, it's like literally like the womb of the earth, and blah, like all these like weird theological responses." And the student goes, "No, I don't think that's it." Later, comes back and he says, "Why a cross?" He says, "Well, at the time, the Romans, the crucifixion, but everybody's like, gave this answer." The student goes, "No, I don't think that's it." He's like, "All right, well." So towards the end of the year, the student, I get emotional just thinking about this. The student walks in and says, I think I know the answer. And he says, what'd you come up with? He said, Jesus was around 2,000 years ago in the Middle East and died on the cross for the good thief.
Wow.
That's the extent that he moves, that he goes to meet us.
That's so deep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Dang.
Should Should we talk about poop?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. That's super profound. That's something to like reflect on in prayer and like, yeah, that's awesome.
And you see it. You see it when you reflect on your life.
Yeah.
You see it. And all those left turns and right turns you had to take that you never would have charted yourself. And then you understand that's the path that is perfect for me. So, yeah.
Dang. On a different note.
Okay.
So I saw you actually. So before we get off totally away from the Christopher thing, if you're interested in learning more about Christopher West or about U2 or both simultaneously, because he is obsessed with U2. He was actually, Christopher was a guest on one of the Awaken Catholic shows called Pop Culture Catechism, and there's an episode all about U2 where the host of Pop Culture Catechism, Mike Tenney, and Christopher West talk about U2 and break down a bunch of the music, and they actually do sing some of the songs together on the show and stuff, so you should definitely check that out.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah. So I saw you live at several Christopher West events before ever meeting you in person. One of those times was in Spain.
Oh, World Youth Day.
World Youth Day, yeah. And dude, you've always done amazing music for Christopher's events, but what you did at that World Youth Day was so insanely amazing. Like the ensemble you had with you, like there was the one chick on the cello and like
Violin.
Violin, okay.
And a celloist.
Yeah, okay, so both, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like the whole ensemble was so powerful and did so much to elevate the presentation. And I think that might have been one of the first times maybe that Christopher was using that sand artist.
Dave Library, yeah.
And so like the way that the sand artist was telling a story with the sand and the music that you guys were doing too, I have goosebumps right now remembering it. I've been to a lot of musical performances and multiple of yours, and that one was like, wow.
Yeah.
Was video or something ever done from those? Because that was extraordinary.
Yeah, so that's an event that we developed, Christopher and I developed with our team at the time called Fill These Hearts.
Yeah.
And there was, it comes from a lyric of mine from a song called The Killing Floor. And I say, to fill these hearts full, we grab and reach for more. And I can't remember the rest. But so we developed this event. Our first thing we really did together was in Australia at World Youth Day. And then we realized, like, because he loves the music and has really been, like, moved by my music, and I've been moved through his work, it works because he uses the lyrics. He knows first off, I'm inspired from his work to create. And so, like, a lot of, like, the themes and words and narratives come from things that I've learned through theology of the body. And very basic stuff, but so he knows that and he hears it and he's able to then use the lyrics to tease out certain parts of teachings. And so it weds itself very nicely together, and we decided to, like, why don't we get serious about this? So we created this event. It was called Fill These Hearts Full, and then we shortened it to Fill These Hearts. And it was like a 7-hour event. It was ridiculously long. And eventually we whittled it down to like 2.5 to 3 hours, and we brought it to Spain.
I don't know that you're fully aware of this, but leading up to the beginning of that event, there were crowds outside of the auditorium. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like thousands of people dying to get into this event.
In the heat,
in the middle of Spain, people from all over the world, and they wanted to see this event. Because, I mean, the work that Christopher does, the theology of the body, like this is stuff that is changing people's lives. And so people are so hungry for this content. But
I've met more people in my travels that were waiting outside that didn't get in than people that got in.
Yeah. Well, so did you ever see the movie Selena?
I want to say yes, because I want to be so cool.
Where
But the answer is no.
Okay. Jennifer Lopez
I can't even
portrays
say what you just said. Selena?
The sentence or the word Selena?
So Selena.
Selena.
Yeah. No. But I know Selena. She's the artist that was killed by her fan club president.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're familiar.
Absolutely.
Okay. But you haven't seen the movie.
No. I just said it.
You just researched.
I just said.
You just learn all about her, but you have seen the movie.
No, I've seen documentaries on her, but I have not seen the movie.
Okay. You're really messing with me here. So
Or have I? Let's see if you've seen the movie. Tables have turned.
oh man, oh I'm so scared.
I thought you said Selena.
Well,
Selena.
the Anglo.
Yes. Finish.
Have you seen Selena?
Selena. No.
No? Cool. All right. So I bring it up because in the movie, there's this scene where the crowds are going nuts. And honestly, it's the only other thing I can compare to what I experienced in Spain outside of Fill These Hearts, where people were getting super angry with each other and aggressive because...
It's World Youth Day.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. But in the movie, Selena,
Yeah.
or as the guy on the side of the road in the movie calls her, Selinas, anything for Selinas. So anyways, so Selena walks out and she tries to calm these people down and she ends up like just singing to them and like they calm down and it's a really beautiful scene. And at Fill These Hearts, people are losing their minds. I'm seeing all kinds of people doing all kinds of terrible things. And Christopher walks out into the middle with a chair and he stands up on it and he just starts praying. And all of these thousands of people joined praying with him.
Yeah.
Instead of fighting with each other. It was like, this guy.
I'll tell you what, man. I've been with Christopher. I've known him since 2001. He and I started, along with 3 other guys, started the Core Project in 2010. So I've traveled pretty much to every event that he does.
Yeah.
He has received a lot of criticism for, from different people for things that he said like 20 years ago or ways that he presented it that he even admits was maybe too brash or maybe wasn't presented properly. Right words, wrong music type of thing, But I'll tell you what, I have never met a person that is more genuinely it than him. It being living the faith. I try, but I'm really bad. And I fail constantly, which is natural. He fails too, but I have never met somebody that is more set on being authentically Christian than that man.
That's beautiful.
When I hear people take something out of context or, criticize like something so silly, it hurts me because of what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's the reality, is that he is in the flow with the Holy Spirit, and he has had such a tremendous impact on me. And that's, to me, that I don't know. He's one of the most amazing people I've ever met.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But more importantly, you. Wow.
Yeah. I'm pretty good. Pretty special.
So all right, let's talk about your desert story. All right. So we did this thing, if you don't know, here at Awaken, this Awaken Your Lent series of devotions. And one of those is the desert stories. So we invited a bunch of different people to share their desert story, a time in their life where they felt like they were going through a desert, whether it was that they were just in a spiritual desert or felt deserted by God. And so I invited Mike to write one, and his actually came out today. So if you haven't read it, you should definitely read it because it is beautiful. It's an incredible story.
See,
Mike,
I thought you wanted a dessert story.
it tasted so good.
And I was like, clearly I'm going to talk about Tres Leches.
Your story nailed it. It was really good. So could you give us a taste of your story to hear today?
In 1965, I was in Vietnam.
No. That's not your story.
That's not my story.
Someone else's story.
That's somebody else's story. I was born on the 4th of July.
False.
Okay. So September 28th of 2021, I had this phase where I was traveling a lot. And September 28th, I started feeling sick. I was in Saratoga Springs. I was in Cleveland on the 24th, and then Saratoga Springs on the 28th, and I felt sick. I came home. I tested negative for COVID. October 1st, I was in Connecticut, and I felt horrible. It was like you got a mixing board with the faders. It was like every symptom of sickness had like 30 minutes of at max volume. So like achy and then gone, headache, gone, sweaty, gone. And it was just, and I told Christopher, I'm like, dude, I feel horrible. And I described, he's like, that sounds like COVID. I'm like, I tested negative. So when I came home, I tested again October 4th because it was weekend Sunday. That's why I waited. And the nurse said, you are overwhelmingly positive. And I was like, thank you. I felt some sort of accomplishment. And she said, no, so just go home. You'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. So I'm home. Two of my friends had it really bad, had to go to the hospital. And so I knew I should probably get a pulse oximeter to watch my oxygen saturation. And so I got one, and then I got two, and I'd like walk around them. And one night I was dropping, I know I'm usually around like 98. I know that because I'm that type of guy. But I dropped at about 92 to 80. And I was like, I feel bad. So I went to the emergency room, and they did an x-ray. They said, you have pneumonia. Here's some steroids. You're going to be fine. Go. And I went home, and the next night I was in like 84. And I woke up at 84, and I just felt like death. And I called out to my wife. I'm like, we got to go. We got to go. So she drove me to the emergency room again. I spent 3 days in the ER, which is not equipped for long-term stay. So that was horrible. And then they said a bed opened up in a hospital half hour away. I went there, and I ended up staying a total of 16 days, 8 days in the ICU. I had bilateral COVID pneumonia, resulting in respiratory failure, which meant that my lungs were done. They were not working. And so I had a high flow cannula nasal thing, not the tube, but like, it looked like, I called it like the Lorax. Remember the mustache he has? It looked like that. It's like this big fat like magic marker thing. And they were giving me 85% of my oxygen was supplied from that.
Wow.
My lungs weren't working. And any step backwards, any slight movement worse, like they couldn't give me anymore. So any movement worse, I would need to be intubated. And intubation for COVID cases, intubation has a survival rate of around 50%. And for COVID, it's more like 20. And also, it requires induced coma. So, I mean, that was hanging over my shoulders. Like at any moment, they could tell me that, okay, we're gonna have to put you in a coma.
Wow.
And we hope you wake up. That kind of thing. Like I don't know, was it gonna be a month, 2 months, 6 months? So I was scared, and I decided when I was in there, I had nothing I could do. They were gonna give me remdesivir for 5 days, and they're gonna give me antivirals and steroids, pretty much, and vitamins, which I thought one of the main things I would get was D, C, and zinc. Like that was like their big. When they're giving you vitamin C as like this is like like how you're gonna get better, you're not in good shape. Right? It's like, just gotta hold this bag of beans, magical beans.
Here's a Flintstone vitamin.
It's like 10 million strong and growing.
Yeah.
So I knew I didn't have much. I knew, and I also knew that with remdesivir, it was 5 days. So I knew that there was going to be a point where that was done. And who knows what's going to happen? Am I going to get better or not? And everybody I spoke with, all of the staff were completely honest. And I would say, is this going to work? They're like, we don't know. Well, is it successful usually? Sometimes.
So you're just out on a very flimsy limb, and you don't know if you're gonna fall to your death or if you're just. I mean,
no idea. And also like I can't see my kids, I can't see my wife, I can't see anybody. My priest came, which was awesome. But yeah, and my back's up against that reality that I might be put into a coma. So I had the meds. I needed to move. I needed to sleep on my stomach, because your lungs are closer to your back. So if you sleep on your back, it constricts your lungs. So with COVID, you need to be on your stomach. And I also knew that I needed, like one night I was, the first night in the ICU, I was sleeping on my stomach and they ran in and they woke me up. They're like, you got to get up. You got to wake up. Wake up, wake up. I'm like, whoa, like you're crashing. You are crashing. I had no idea what was going on. Apparently my oxygen was just plummeting. And so they sat me up, they cranked, like just blasted my face. And that's another thing, like 16 days of oxygen, the amount of blood coming out, I was constantly bleeding my nose just from cold oxygen being blasted in my face. So sore. It was just very painful. Something so small, but it was like, it was painful. And I knew, and I had prayer. I said, well, I should probably take prayer very seriously. And so I said, I'm going to come up with my dream team. All right, I'm going to do John Paul II. He's my guy, right? So I'm going to do that. He's going to be there. I'm going to do Saint Cecilia, your daughter, right? Patron saint of musicians. All right, she's got to like me, kind of. Maximilian Kolbe, because he endured amazing.
Total badass.
I mean, the end of his life was pretty B.A. Baracus.
Yeah.
You know? That's a show from the 80s, A-Team. All right. And I chose St. Francis. I was in St. Francis, Wisconsin. I chose St. Augustine because he's smart. I'm not. And I chose my grandfather, who was a surgeon, or who was a doctor, and my father, who had died 5 months before this. And so I got really serious about it, and I would just sit there. And prayer for me has always been very difficult. Do you mind I'm talking this long? Is this
That's fine, yeah. Okay. Share your heart, baby.
All right. Prayer has always been extremely difficult. I always felt like I wasn't good at doing it. I always felt like everything I applied always fell short. I was always distracted. The rosary was cool because it was repetitive, meditative, and I can kind of like slip into that slipstream of, motion, But I never really felt any effort that I put actively, like I can't pray well. Okay, fine. God, just please make sure we're safe and healthy. I'll leave that right there. I'm going to continue along my way, right? But for some reason, this time I was completely comfortable and content sitting still in the midst of these saints. And I could see them. Now, not in my mind's eye. I'm not going to get all like, then they appeared. And the nurse came in and I realized that was St. John Paul II. No, it wasn't like that. So like.
Are you sure?
I don't know. No, I'm
You were
positive.
heavily medicated.
I was. That's why I didn't wear pants. But like, so I just sat there and I was totally comfortable. And all of a sudden I could like see everybody next to me. St. Teresa of Avila as well was there. A friend of mine had brought a box for me and the nurses brought it to me. I opened it up and it was the relics of St. Teresa of Avila.
Oh man.
My daughter, her name is Avila. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was very, very potent. So she was there as well. And I could see everybody sitting around me. I could see my dad sitting next to me, which is, I sat next to him in his deathbed. And I could see my grandfather, who was always anxious, and he'd always like pick his teeth with a thing. He's just really anxious, and he was pacing back and forth. And then I saw John Paul II, and John Paul II was staring right at me, right in front of me. And he was an actor, so he understood like
drama.
How to, yeah. He's always smiling. He understood his demeanor and how to properly present himself. But he had a look on his face that I'd never seen before. He wasn't smiling. He was looking directly at me, very stern, like very like right into my eyes. And I remember knowing, like, like with prayer, for me at least, it's an awareness rather than like a chronological understanding. Like I don't understand things in order. I just all of a sudden I feel it, and I knew that his look was 100% with authority and love. Mm. And all of a sudden, he was also Jesus. So it wasn't Jesus alone, and it wasn't John Paul II. It was the same in persona Christi. That was Jesus, John Paul II.
Wow, interesting.
And he said, "Do you need me?" And I said, "Yes." Oh, also, I felt a hand pushing me against a wooden chair. I was in a wooden chair. I was in my bed, hospital bed. But in this moment, I was in a wooden chair, and I could see the chair very specifically. And the hand was pushing me against the chair, and I couldn't move, nor did I want to move. And he says, "Do you need me?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Then sit there." Okay. And I sat there spiritually the whole time. And I felt peace, just complete peace. Like I could endure all of the crap that I had to put up with. And there was so much pain. There was so much, I couldn't walk. I couldn't breathe. If I had to go to the bathroom, I needed to take my oxygen off. And you're on a timer. You'd hear that every time your oxygen got to 90 or below, it would beep. It was beeping all the time.
Gosh.
So it's just like, you're not doing good. That's the beep. You're not doing good. You're not doing good. Still not good. So you go to the bathroom and it's like beep, 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 beep. You're like, am I going to die on the crapper? Like, am I going to Elvis this whole thing?
I mean, if there's any way to go.
Yeah, I agree. But I was so peaceful. And I just stayed there and just kept on praying. And I was having I felt joy. I felt, I had 3 tools that I needed to do to work on my lungs, and they were painful, like these breathing exercises, and they were painful. And the respiratory therapist said, "You need to do these often." I said, "How often?" She's like, I was on steroids, so I was a little aggressive. And she's like, "As often as possible." I'm like, "Give me a time." Like, what, every hour? She's like, "That'd be great." I'm like, "Done. Give me a pencil." She gave me a pencil. I set my alarm on my phone, and every hour, it would take 20 minutes to do the exercises. So every hour I'd do the exercises, and then I'd have 40 minutes to relax. And so I just did it, but I did it with peace and just joy, not happiness, but joy. Anyway, I was sitting, my morning prayer got longer and longer. I just stayed in prayer. And I always had a foot in prayer the entire time. And I slowly, there was one day, the remdesivir was done. I knew it was done. And now I was just drifting in water without oars, just like, okay. And I'm still on 85% oxygen. I still have the, thing hovering over me that I could go any direction. And you can get better and get worse. It really doesn't make sense. And October 15th, which is St. Teresa of Avila's feast day, I took her relics. And just so you know, I'm not somebody who loves to talk about, and then the angel appeared. I'm very careful with the language and the way I talk about. I believe in miracles, but I'm very careful with that stuff. But this is what happened. I took the relics, I put it on my chest, underneath my gown, and I prayed, and I wept, just wept. And that was it. October 16th, my doctor, who up to this point has only told me bad news. The first day I was put in an ICU, he says, "Just so you know, you're very serious. You're in critical condition. And I lost a 29-year-old yesterday to the same thing." I was like, "That's fantastic, bedside manner. Fantastic.
By the way, you're probably going to die.
Probably going to die. Do you have your affairs in order?" But yeah, so he walks in on the 16th, and I'm like, "Oh, shit, I don't want to see this guy." And he holds his hand out. And I don't know how he did it, but the last digit was just bent a little bit like that. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You might be turning a corner. Maybe. Keep doing what you're doing. I'll come back tomorrow." I wept more. I just cried. 17th, he walks in, definitive curve in his digit. I don't know how he did it. Crazy. He said, "You've turned a corner. You're starting to get better.
Wow.
Keep doing it. But if you maintain progress, then we'll move you to a regular room." Well, sure enough, they moved me to a regular room on the 17th, and I just got to a new room that was a lot nicer, not the ICU. And all I did was I just sat in this chair that was in there and I just prayed all day. Morning, the nurse comes in. She's like, because they keep on, the way they do it is when your lungs start to get a little bit better, they test them. They challenge them by turning the oxygen down. So like the moment you're not beeping anymore because you're hitting the 90s, now you're like, your oxygen's resting like 95, they turn it down. Like, oh my gosh, like please just leave it there for a little bit. Give me a break. But they do that because then your lungs take over. So they're doing that constantly. And the nurse walks in one morning and she's like, we're going to do an oxygen test today, but you might be going home. I'm like, what?
Oh my goodness.
She's like, yeah, you might be going home. I'm like, don't. She's like, no, I'm serious. I'm like, all right. So sure enough, they do an oxygen test. I walk around the room. I'm like beeping at like 88, 90. They're like, you're not going to need oxygen. You're doing great. I'm like, can I still have oxygen when I go home? I look at my Magnificon. I did go home that day. It was October 22nd. It's the feast day of John Paul II.
Oh my gosh.
I realized that when
It's also Colleen's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. I realized that, and I'm sitting in this rocking chair that I've been sitting in the whole time. It is literally the chair for my prayer. It just was. It's a wooden rocking chair. When I was in the ICU, that's what I'm sitting in.
That's crazy.
And then I'm like, what else can I see? And I'm like, my room number is 3307. I've been describing this experience for me as my Paschal mystery, right? It's my Paschal, it's my cross. 3307, the age of Christ when he died. 07, the holiest number. 7, the holy number. That's a little too far-fetched, but I did notice it and I thought it was cool. But I got out, and the bow on the whole story was a couple weeks later, I'm part of this like study group that my wife is putting on at my parish. And one of the questions was, describe your relationship with God the Father. I said, all right, well, God the Father, he's out there, he's over there. And if I want to have a relationship with him, I need to apply myself and do these things to reach out. I need to make an effort to come to him and dwell with him. And and all of a sudden my thoughts were interrupted and I heard, really? I'm like, could you possibly be projecting your relationship with your father on God the Father? I'm like, oh. Now, I love my father. We had a great relationship, but, he was of that generation that he didn't cross the bridge. I crossed the bridge if I wanted any kind of, contact. And I was like, yeah. And then it hit me. That's what God was saying. Do you need me? Do you want me? Yes. Then let me dwell with you.
Wow.
You don't need to do anything.
He wants to cross the bridge for you.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Just open your arms.
That's beautiful.
Be with me. That's what it was.
Did you write a song about it?
Yeah, it's called Do You Want Me? I'm Here. Just open your arms. Be with me. Man, that's the song.
A long song title.
Yeah. So I shortened it. I have not written a song about it. But
You ought.
I ought someday.
Yeah, that's a heck of a story, man. I'm so grateful that you're still here with us.
Yeah.
Wow.
So are my kids.
I bet. And Stacy.
Yeah. No, that was quite the homecoming, man. And I couldn't walk when I got home. It was like if I went up the stairs, I had to like stop twice.
Yeah.
It was there was a huge day for me when I was able to get the mail. Walk to the end of the driveway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Dang. Okay. Well, on that note, this episode is sponsored by the AWAKEN Catholic app. Man, that's a great story. Definitely want to encourage you watching at home. Check out his desert story in the AWAKEN app. And for you all here in the live audience, definitely check out his desert story. And there's so many powerful stories like that.
I've been loving it, by the way. You did not tell me to do this. I'm just going to say this. I've been loving the app. I've been using it. Yes, I love it. I think it's fantastic. And I've been using it every day. I use it. So thank you
All right.
Thank you guys for doing that.
If you could just look at the camera and say, I use the Awaken app every day.
How you doing? I use the Awaken app pretty much every day, and it's fantastic.
That's solid. Beautiful. All right. We're going to get into a whole bunch of your music here in a second. You're going to wrap us up here with a solid concert segment of songs. But before we do that, we have one thing left to do here. Did you know, Mr. Mangione?
Mangione.
Obviously, there are terrible things happening in the world right now. And the, we have Russia and Ukraine and all of this really difficult to watch what's happening. And as though Putin couldn't be a bigger a-hole, it just came out recently to his own people in Russia, is not allowing them to enjoy and benefit from the Catholic Weird Stuff segment anymore. So we here are making sure that we're still putting it out, and we are hoping we have our ways to get it into the hands of the mobile devices of the Russian people.
Give it to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Give it to Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
He'll do it.
Arnie, it's on you. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Catholic weird stuff. Why do they do the things that they do? Let's learn some Catholic weird stuff. It's super weird.
Ladies and gentlemen, today for the Catholic Weird Stuff segment, we're going to be, for a very brief moment, talking about
Superheroes.
almost, actually kind of straight up.
Right.
Yes. Do you want to explain this?
The Incorruptibles.
The Incorruptibles. Not to be confused with the Incredibles, although the Incorruptibles are, in fact, incredible.
Yes. Yes.
So what is an incorruptible?
An incorruptible is a person that does not experience the same kind of decomposition as a normal human body after death. There are many reasons that they say. For example, sometimes they'll have like a portion of the saint. Maybe if the saint was particularly talented or blessed with the gift of speech, then his tongue doesn't decompose, or have the gift of, massages in his hands or her hands.
I feel like you're making that up.
Possibly a little bit, but I'm not a theologian, so don't ask me these questions. So So there are saints out there that when they exhume the bodies, they're still intact, or I'll be honest, some of the photos,
They look a little funky.
they look dead.
Yeah,
They look very dead.
Yeah. However, regardless, still arguably far less decomposed than they ought to be,
Right.
based on the time frame.
Yeah, and it took me a long time to realize, because like if you go to like St. Peter's, or if you ever see any, they almost look like dolls, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And then you realize I didn't realize this, but they put like masks on them.
What? Really?
Yeah. It's not like St. Catherine Labouré in France. There you go. That's France right there.
For anyone watching and wondering what just happened, Sophia's sitting in the back, and Sophia was just in France. So
we were talking about it.
yeah.
Or like, what's the guy's name? Pio.
Padre
Mr.
Pio.
Mr. Bilocation.
Oh, what a G.
Some great stories about that, by the way.
Yeah.
But but if you see pictures of them, they're like perfectly, they look like porcelain dolls, and it's because they make these like for most of them, they make like these preservative masks to help preserve. I don't know. So that was a little when I found that out, I was like, well, I mean, come on, like, just let us have it. Let it be what it is. Like, why are we doctoring them?
Yeah. So the significance of it is that a lot of people don't understand when we die, and we kind of fast forward to the last day and the resurrection on that last day. We will in fact resurrect, and Jesus talks about it in the Gospel of John, chapter 6, that on the last day that he will raise the dead, and a lot of people explicitly outside of the Catholic sphere, but even within, can be confused about this issue of, will this body that I am rocking right now, will this be the same body I have in heaven for eternity? And the answer is kind of yes, but it'll be glorified.
Yeah.
And so the significance behind these incorruptibles is like, it kind of points to this idea that like these bodies have a longer term context than what we kind of perceive generally.
Right.
Would you add anything else to that?
Word.
All right. Now, Mike.
Yeah.
Before you grace us with the glory of your music,
Yeah. Before
I
I
have
do
to
that.
ask you, do you have anything you want the people to know about?
Well, yes, I do actually.
Hit us with it.
Okay, there's a couple things that I'm promoting right now. Number one, the music you can get on Spotify, get on the website, which is my name, MikeMangione.com. You can stream it anywhere, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also doing this thing that's been kind of fun for me. I call it the transient sessions. So as I travel, everywhere I go, I travel all the time, and people say to me often like, oh, it must be so cool to travel and see all these places. And it's like, yeah, kind of, but my experience of the places is really just the hotel room, because I don't rarely have time to hang out. And so what I've been doing is everywhere I go, I set up my camera and my microphone and I record a song in the hotel room, and I call it the transient sessions. And it's one omnidirectional mic, meaning all directions. And I just place the mic and I do one take, one song. And then I post it on YouTube. So you can find that at my YouTube channel.
I've seen those. Those are very nice.
Yeah, I mean, they're not like high quality, you know, they're just enough.
Mike.
What?
They're very nice.
Thank you. I'll accept that. Take in the compliment. Take it. Okay. And then I release the songs on streaming sites, and then also you can download it on my website. But also, I want to mention that I work with the Theology of the Body Institute, and we have two things that I'm really excited about. Number one, we just published we've always worked with publishers. We've just started our own publishing division.
Nice.
Yes. And the first book that we released is called God is Beauty. A couple years ago, Christopher was watching an interview where the interviewer or interviewee quoted Karol Wojtyła, John Paul II, quoted him, and it was a quote that Christopher's never heard before. So he looked into it, and it turned out there was an unpublished retreat that Karol Wojtyła gave in 1962 when he was bishop of Krakow to artists.
Interesting.
It's a 4-day retreat. He did it during Holy Week. And so when Christopher found this, he wrote to the Vatican and got permission to translate it and then publish it. So God is Beauty is the name of a 4 or 5, I can't remember, but it's a 5-part retreat that the Pope gave to artists. And what's cool about it is that, and he specifically says this, is that even it's obviously the artists that were on the retreat, but it's really about everybody is an artist of the masterpiece of their life, of their humanity.
Yeah.
And so really it resonates with anybody, because we're all scripting the narrative of our story in real time. And so it really is for everybody. So we published the book, and it has 4 parts. It has his complete texts, and then Christopher goes section by section, does commentary, and then we had 5 people, myself included, that wrote a reflection on each section. So I wrote a reflection on section 2. Ooh. And the basis of my reflection is a quote that he says, which is, "A river of beauty runs through you, but you yourself are not beauty." And so it's understanding the relationship between craftsman and creator. And if you're familiar with his letter to artists, which came out in 1999, August 4th, you can see the seeds of everything in letter artists in this 1962 retreat. So that's called God is Beauty. You can get that at the Theology of the Body.
So that's available now.
Yeah.
So you guys can get that book, have it on your coffee table, maybe open it to the page where his reflection is, and you can be like, I was there. I was at his house concert.
Yeah.
I met him.
It got weird. And then the second thing is, and this is, I'm in charge of this, it's kind of a passion project of mine, but, during COVID, we've been doing virtual conferences, right? Everybody's been doing virtual conferences. So we kind of felt like we had great success with 2 years of virtual conferences. And we kind of felt like, all right, there's a little virtual conference saturation, right? We need to change it up. So what we decided was, why don't we do like a hybrid? So it's an actual physical conference at Black Rock Retreat Center in Corryville, Pennsylvania, May 13th to the 15th. So there's only 80 seats available. It's a tiny little place. And I got 6, so that our staff is going to be teaching presenting at the conference, but then I got 6 guest speakers to come. And so for 3 days, a small group of people in Pennsylvania are going to be hanging out with us. It's going to be Jeff Cavins. It's going to be Father Mike Schmitz.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, he's rather handsome man.
Father, what a waste.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, I'm like, oh, man, that hair.
I mean, the muscles too. Come on.
Right?
It's ridiculous.
Can we talk about that for a minute? That dude's ripped. Look, I went on his Facebook. He's like lifting a weight. I'm like, oh my gosh. Jason Everett, Damon Owens, Abby Fjord from the Desert Stream Ministries, and there's one more. I cannot forget. I can't do that. Okay, hold on. Jackie and Bobby.
Francois Angel.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then us. So it's a fantastic group.
That's a great lineup.
It's fantastic. And one of the things that I'm trying to do with this is I really want it to be like, hey, what would it be like if Jason Everett and Jeff Cavins were all hanging out with Christopher? Like, what would they talk about? Mm-hmm. That's what it's going to be.
Roundtable discussions.
So there's going to be presentations, but then there's going to be conversations, and then something I'm calling the fireside chat, where we're just all going to hang and talk.
That's awesome.
And then Matt Frad, I think, is coming too. He just told Christopher he wants to come yesterday, so I think he's going to be there too. But here's the thing. You can be there in person. That's like the ultimate experience. But those are going fast, so check that out. But also, you can stream it. We're going to stream it, and that's going to be for free. There's a version of streaming that you could like buy into that gives you more access, but the basic keynote presentations of all those speakers are going to be free. And you can register for free, find out all the information about coming or paying the premium or doing the free one at our website, which is tobinstitute.org. tobinstitute.org. So check that out. And that's May 13th to the 15th. And come.
Beautiful.
Go. Be there.
That sounds super exciting.
Cool. Yeah. And I can do a
awesome.
concert as well.
Awesome. All right. Let's hear some music.
Lover, will you pardon me? Will you let me sing to you? Can you hear me sing? In the moment of decision, I tremble, dear. Pace the steps that fell from where I've come. There's nothing here can save me now. Say the word, I'm yours. Can you love me falling? I remember when I could rest with ease. I could love and please my brothers. But did I please you? And the strength of emotion make a man divine. to sacrifice himself for love. But those emotions also make me crazy. There's nothing here that can save me now. Say the word, I'm yours. Can you love me falling? Can you love me falling, baby? Can you love me? I'm falling. Because I need. And through the veil, your heart bleeds to mine. She gives me love, 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 grace. Love, 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 grace. She gives me love, 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 crazy love, crazy. She gives me. Thank you. So I just did a record that hasn't released yet, but I've been playing stuff from it because the songs really are resonating with me now. And I recorded it last year. I recorded it last year in Milan, New York, with a great producer, a guy named Larry Campbell. And Larry is like, it was really a dream to work with Larry because my favorite artists in this planet is Bob Dylan and like Levon Helm, like from the band. And when I was in college, Bob Dylan would play Milwaukee every Halloween. And I would go, and I loved watching Dylan because he had the best band. And he had one guitarist that, like, the guy, first off, he looked cool. He had this awesome mustache and this little, like pointy soul. He just, awesome. He's tall, he had a dark, long coat. He looked like something from, like, a cool book. A romance novel, but he's like the villain, you know? He's like the cool guy that you want to be, but he's not good. And then he left, and I was like, no, where'd that guy go? And then he started playing with the other idol guy, Levon Helm. He was his guitarist and producer. So that was Larry. So like when I got a chance to work with this guy honestly, like half the time was like recording, the other half was like, so what does Dylan smell like? You know, like just asking every question I possibly can. So he not only produced the record, but he played. He's a multi-instrumentalist and amazing. So he has just beautiful. I don't even know why I'm telling you this. What I'm going to say is he plays amazing parts on this song that you are not going to hear right now. So, but something to look forward to. Swear it by my name. Oh, don't you go. I'm the one to blame. Oh, don't you go. This hollow ground is real. Oh, don't you go. So I lay down to feel. Don't you go, don't you go, and I stay. And honey, please come back to me. Don't you go, and I stay. And honey, please come back to me. Mercy, mercy me. Oh, don't you go. And I was blind, now I can see. Oh, don't I know. I'm dripping blood and water. Oh, don't you go. Save my home and daughter. Don't you go, and I stay. And honey, please come back to me. Don't you go, and I stay. Honey, please come back to me. Don't I know? Every second I can feel. Oh, don't I know? And through this hanging I lay down. Oh, don't you go. And if I could wash my sins, I'd drown. Oh, don't I know? Don't you go. And I stay. So honey, please come back to me. Don't you go, and I stay. And honey, please come back to me. I do a lot of travel, and I'm constantly in airports. And airports, I've been by myself for a while, so I'm going to talk if that's cool. Airports are becoming like malls, like increasingly more mall-like. It's getting kind of weird. It's like, am I supposed to come earlier? And like, who shops at the airport? My wife. That's who does. But there's still like a couple airports, though, that still have like that like edginess to it. Like even like LaGuardia typically was like, that was like the edgy airport. Like you go to it and every sign read like you were in trouble. It'd be like, there'd be the sign showing you Terminal A, which direction, but the way it feels, it's like Terminal A. It's not like, go this way. It's like, that's Terminal A. You're like, I'm sorry. Baggage. Gates. All right, gates. Anyway, does that not make sense? But now it's all like, it's just all like, by the way, you're no longer in the airport, you're in a mall. And you should probably go shopping. But like Europe has always kind of had those airports that they confuse you a little bit because it's like so nice and clean and everything's like crystal clear and there's a lot of like shopping. But they are so confusing. This is really dumb. I should probably just play a song. But like Europe's airports, the signs are like, it's like so unnecessarily confusing. And it's not a language thing because it's English in most airports. But it'd be like baggage gates. Like what? It's like baggage gates that way. Like baggage. So that's baggage or gates. Yes. What's that way? Toblerone. Toblerones are over there. I don't even know what I'm going to play. I got it. This is a song about airports. There's frost on the sheets when the sun went down. There's no place to lay your head. You stand in this valley of tears all around as he stands as your jury instead. And he holds you in bribe as you try to hide what is sacred. He objects to dismiss. Oh, my woman in gown, you are made for much better than this. We fashion our breath to the lowest of depth and let pleasure be the host of what's real. But I say let's sacrifice, boys, and smother the noise as the goods they've been fixing to steal. But I am only a man, so please understand. But won't you take my hand, I insist. No, my woman in gown, you are made for much better than this. Oh, sleep, my dear, and may you rest until disorder has been fixed. No, my woman in gown, you are made for much better than this. Yeah. They try to deceive, to make you believe you can be held and dropped on a dime. But nothing, my dear, should be held in the fear that a drop is just natural with time. No, you cannot be taken or your value forsaken. Deny their Judas kiss. Oh my woman in gown, you are made for much better than this. Stand tall, my bride, don't compromise. I will show you what their promises miss. Oh my woman in gown, you are made for much better than this. Made for much better than this. You guys do me a favor. When I start a song, can you guys all do one of those claps like you know it and you're excited about? Oh yeah! Woo! I've been waiting for this one.
That last one actually was my favorite.
I'll play it again. Can you get? Oh, you have heard that song. Oh. I googled song. I'm kidding. So I'm gonna play a song. Wait! No, I gotta start it. And then you be, oh yeah. It's called at your gate. So one of you, when I play, just, no, you. Yeah. When I play, go, oh, at your gate. Okay? It's called At Your Gate. So when I play, just go, oh, at your gate. Yeah. It's like 3 seconds away. Ready? That feels so good. I gotta get more fans and play for them. This one goes out for all the ladies. I'm just kidding. Come out, come meet me. Yes, I've been poisoned, I've been used. Now I'm standing at your gate. And I am hanging on your gate. And I'll be standing at your gate. In my day, I ruled deception. Yes, I was king, I had control. But I deceived all those I hold. And they flanked, they dug a hole. And now I'm standing at your gate. I was lost in my intention, but they were bleeding from your side, while I was blinding out my eyes. Yeah. And when I left, I had direction. I had protection, I was free. But they do not compromise. No, they did not compromise. I'll be standing at your gate. did not come to take you. I came to let you take me in. We're born where we begin, and this fever burns within. Yeah, 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 yeah. And there's a song of songs that you're singing. I've been bleeding every line. How I want to harmonize. Yes, we need to harmonize. And we'll be singing at your gate. Were you there? Were you there when they? Were you there when they? Were you there when they crucified? Thank you. So I'll just do a couple more, right? It's a weekday. I don't, you know. Actually, it was. You are correct. Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates, hell yes. I won't back down. Well, I'll stand my ground. Won't be turned around. In a world that keeps on pushing me around, yeah. Won't back down. No, I won't back down. Come on now. Oh, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, Mama, won't back down. Well, I won't back down. Keep it going, ready? Well, I know what's right. I got just one life. World that keeps on pushing me down. I won't back down. No, I won't back down. Yeah. Hey, Mama, there ain't no easy way out. Oh, Mama, won't back down. Yes, I won't back down. Oh, I won't back down. Gonna stand my ground. It's a song I wrote back in like 87 or something. Let's try this one. Perfect. The song, so I always had this idea that there's like an idea that like a very sinful person could be baptized at the moment of death through a true act of contrition and a drop of a tear. Because you need the tangible, right? You need the water. Now, I probably can't have like saline in it, but let's just keep on staying on the track. So I had this idea that somebody could be baptized by their own tear in that last moment. So I wrote a song about it. It's called Lady by the Shore. It feels good at first, but it's not authentic, and it hurts me a little bit. I'm just kidding. Do it. I love it. It's great. You guys also call me Bob Dylan. Is that no? Or Rob Dylan? Thank you. Thank you very much. They say I gave myself, but they were waiting down by the water just to give me hell. It's been 10 years since I've been gone, but a life that's worth all the running needs something to hang on. Can I hear? Can I hear? Can I hear just one more time? Before I'll be hanging, let me hear that lady by the shore. And I'm a thief now, yeah, but I once was a child. And I would wet my skin in those waters before the river ran wild. I never had much of a home or place for my head. In the sins of my mother and my father, they drove me crazy instead. But can I hear? Can I hear? Can I hear just one time more? Before I be hanging, let me hear that lady by the shore. Hey. As I stood beneath the hanging tree, I saw the silhouette of that woman come walking toward me. The scoffers were mute and the onlookers couldn't see, but her voice broke free that tear from that moment to eternity. Yeah. song I wrote for my wife, Stacy. It's a song about how love is really hard. She once said to me, "How come you never write songs about me?" I said, "Stacy, every song is about you in a certain sense." She said, "Nope." I said, "Okay." So I wrote this one, and she actually, she loves it. She's like, "That's amazing." I said, "Yeah, it is." Tell me, you tell me that we've gone astray. Don't we know that love can often feel this way? How we yearn to hold in the burn when the feeling's gone away. Yeah, but I don't want no simplified, sterilized, half-realized version of love. Because love, real love, ain't no easy thing to do. Ain't no easy thing to do. And reason, oh, what's your reason? Tell me, what is what? What should I do? And I've come to see that when there's nothing left to give is when I begin to give you all of me. And oh, young love makes its bed high above, beautifully blind to the rising sea. Yeah. I don't want no disguised, mystified, I want a crucified kind of love. Because love, real love, ain't no easy thing to do. Ain't no easy thing to do. Lay here and let me speak into your fear, and I will sing. I wanna be your man. I don't want no disguise. Give me baptized so I may testify our love. Because love, real love, ain't no easy thing to do. Ain't no easy thing to do. Ain't no, ain't no, no. Hey. Okay. Should I do one more? Yeah? Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. Thanks for doing this. This is a great thing. It's a lot of fun for me. This is like one of the first shows like I've done since COVID. I haven't done many. So it's nice. It feels good to like play, and it's nice having it be so like intimate. I'm really sad that these expensive seats were purchased and they didn't show up. Oh, they got sick. All right, well. Oh, for real? Yeah. Oh. I was like, we're painting the story now with detail. I like it. It's gonna like make up a name for them, and you'd be like, no, I'm serious. They're really sick. All right, so thank you very much. This is a song. It's actually a hopeful song. It's called "Nothing Lasts Forever," but it's got a. Well, I'll just play it. Numb can words remain, how numb can feelings fall? When beloved is amused, no man can escape at all. And I feel your distant fever, at times I hear your plea, and I taste my tongue burn from every promise gone selfishly. Before you leave me, Mother, please help me understand how a boy can be a lover, how a lover can be a man. So if you want me, baby, please, please want me here today, because nothing lasts forever and nothing's here to stay. So many seem the mornings, now unless until I go. But no beauty of a sunrise can fulfill that ache that we all must know. And I know I acted foolish, I was a thief among family, but no fault can bleach desire to redeem eternity. And I know so will forgiveness, I know so will regret. And every time they pierce my heart, it feels like they have never met. So if you want me, baby, please, please want me here today, because nothing lasts forever and nothing's here to stay. That mountain, but there was one drop that changed the world. And as sands of time caused agony, that tear released the pearl. So if you want me, baby, please, please want me here today, because nothing lasts forever and nothing's here to stay. If you want me, baby, step out and take my hand. Well, nothing lasts forever but the love of woman and man. Yeah, nothing lasts forever but the love of woman and man. and nothing lasts forever. Oh, 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 oh. You guys want to join me with that one? Thank you all very much. Thank you. God bless. You're all invited backstage. Yeah.
Thank you all so much for coming tonight to this Mike Mangione concert and to the first ever live audience production of the Awaken Catholic show.